Hope you're having a beautiful day. Today I'm going to share the story of Hagar, or at least the first part of it. Comes from the book of Genesis, chapter 16, and begins with Abraham and Sarah, or they were called Abram and Sarai. Now the Lord had promised them a son and told them that their descendants would be as numerous as the stars in the sky. But nothing had happened. And Sarai got impatient, like a lot of us do. We decide we're going to go help God do His job. So Sarah comes up with this great idea that she'll give her maidservant, her slave, who is an Egyptian, to be Abram's wife. So maybe that through Hagar they could have the child that God promised. So she told Abram her thoughts, and he agreed. So he took Hagar as his wife, and she became pregnant. Conflict arose between the two wives, like should normally happen. Would not want two wives or two husbands. But anyway, so conflict arose, and Sarah mistreated severely Hagar. And Hagar ran away. And she ran out to the desert. And this is where our story picks up. Verse 7. The angel of the Lord found Hagar beside a spring of water in the wilderness, along the road to Shur. And the angel said to her, Hagar, Sarai's servant, where have you come from, and where are you going? I'm running away from my mistress, Sarai, she replied. The angel of the Lord said to her, return to your mistress and submit to her authority. And then he added, I will give you more descendants than you can count. Let's pause there. We've heard that before. Isn't that what God told Abraham? So the angel gives her a promise. He calls her by her name. That in and itself is just something, when you're known by your name, you know you're precious. The angel also said, you are now pregnant and will give birth to a son. You are to name him Ishmael, which means God hears. For the Lord has heard your cry of distress. This son of yours will be a wild man and untamed, as wild as a donkey. I don't know if I'd have liked to heard that part. He will raise his fist up against everyone, and everyone will be against him. Yes, he will live in open hostility against all of his relatives. I don't think I'd like to heard that one either. It goes on to say that, therefore, Hagar used another name to refer to the Lord who had spoken to her. She said, you are the God who sees me. She also says, have I truly seen the one who sees me? So that the well that she was at was named Ber Lahai Rohi, which means well of the living one who sees me. And it still can be found between Kadesh and Bered. So Hagar gave Abram a son, and Abram named him Ishmael. Abram was 86 years old when Ishmael was born. So the Lord found her out in the desert. He called her by name. He saw her in distress, and he gave her a promise. You shall name him Ishmael. God hears. God saw her distress, and he told her to go back to her mistress. Now, I don't know if I'd want to go back to my mistress if she was mistreating me, but evidently things were going to get better. So he didn't abandon Hagar in the wilderness, and she goes back. There's a second half of this story as well, as she ends up having to go back out to the desert again. This time she was led out to the desert, and God was with her there. But the important thing that today I want to look at is the fact that God sees us. He sees us in our distress, and he renews our hope as he did Hagar. The word of today is hope. Hope is comfort, expectation, confidence, and trust. Our hope is in him, isn't it? God renews our hope, and he renews her hope. Here's you a few verses. Job 13:15. I will hope in him. Colossians 1:27. Christ in me, the hope of glory. And then one of our favorites, Hebrews 6:19. This hope we have as an anchor of the soul, a hope sure and steadfast, one which enters within the veil. And then 1 Peter 1:3. Blessed be the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, who according to his great mercy has caused us to be born again into a living hope, and through the resurrection of Jesus Christ from the dead. You may be going through a terrible trial today. Maybe you've lost a loved one. Maybe your child has gone astray. Or maybe you're not on good terms with your parents or family members. Maybe you have members in the hospital that are sick, or in nursing homes like my Aunt Blondine. These are challenging times in our country with the coronavirus, the racial injustice. Just remember that God sees you too, and God cares for you, and he loves you. The revelation in this story is not that God sees, but that God sees me, and God sees you. And he sees whatever you're going through and whatever you're facing. He is with you. He is your refuge and strength, and he is a very present help in time of trouble. He's the God of all comfort, the God of all peace, and the God of all hope. Put your hope in him today. And I do have to add this one again. I said it on another devotion, but this one just keeps coming back, and I have to be obedient. Isaiah 43:2. When you go through deep waters, I will be with you. When you go through rivers of difficulty, you will not drown. When you walk through the fire of oppression, you will not be burned up. The flames won't consume you. My hope is in you. I hope you have a blessed day.